we're ready for the morning DPC.
Beautiful. We are savoring it down here. Good morning, Integrity, and good
Están dando los
Moon.
buenos días, muy
Our
buenos
room
días.
is buzzing with moon joy today, and I imagine yours is too. I have a few items related to flyby, and then a few items for things further afield. Here we go. I will roll through them all.
Están muy emocionados por este flyby y por este acercamiento a la Luna.
Follow up with your observations as required on Orion to Earth throughout the flyby. Today you will pass the Apollo 13 record distance at the end of the pre-lunar flyby conference. We are planning to call you with milestone words at that point at the end of the conference, not later in the allocated PAO time on Optimus. That will be your opportunity to share your thoughts to celebrate the occasion. As of now, we have one
Están hablando de todo lo que harán el día de hoy. Conferencia lunar, apuntar las cámaras a la Tierra. Para cuando se vea ese amanecer de la Tierra atrás de la Luna. ¿Tendrán algunas entrevistas el día de hoy?
The entry folks are talking about allotting additional time for entry prep, including cabin config. It's not related to today's operations, obviously, but it is going on, so you can plan for more on that tomorrow as we focus on the flyby today. That's all I have for you for now. What do you have for me?
Se prepararán para todas los ejercicios que harán durante el día, un poco de entrevistas, un poco de conferencia.
We are ready to go. We are looking forward to working with and for the science team, and we are just excited to be so close to finally accomplishing what we've been training for so many
Bueno,
years.
dicen que están muy emocionados por finalmente estar tan cerca de la Luna. Están agradeciendo por el momento. Tienen ahí, están enseñando en este mismo instante el parche de misión del Apolo 8. Ahí lo podemos ver en pantalla grande, el parche del Apolo 8, que está ahorita mismo en la cápsula Orión. Ahí lo están enseñando en la parte superior.
Is responsible for taking that photo has been instrumental both to our crew as our ethos and values, but also just personally to myself.
Están comentando que esa misión fue la responsable de tomar esa foto tan importante donde se ve la Luna, la Tierra atrás de la Luna.
Recordings around the time that picture was taken, and it turns out there was a lot of hubbub, kind of I wouldn't say fighting over cameras, but definitely everyone wanted to capture the shot, so we're happy to carry on that legacy because we
van a intentar tomar muchas fotografías, muchas fotos.
And I'll just close. I know it looks like a piece of paper in the camera there, but that is actually the original Apollo 8 patch printed on silk.
Dicen, sabemos que se ve como un simple papel en la cabina, una simple impresión, pero realmente es el parche de la misión del Apolo 8.
Let's go, have a great day.
We are all on board with what you told us and to have a great day. Thank you, Integrity.
Estamos a bordo con todos ustedes, así que tengan un buen día. Comentan desde el centro de control.
And Huntsville for Avatar, all lights lit except for 15 and 16.
That is a good read on the Avatar LEDs. Thank you.
Incredible start to the day for the Artemis 2 astronauts and the team here in Artemis Mission Control in Houston. We have several streaming partners joining our coverage today, so
Me da gracia aquí los comentarios. Voy por las palomitas, sí, pero tienen que ir por muchas. Esto va a durar mucho, pero valdrá la pena.
Hooray for a found snack. You can stow that in locker A1. Thank you, Reed.
With our streaming partners joining us today, we will be going to a slate ahead of our broadcast start in just a few minutes. So just for those next few minutes, you can watch our live coverage on our YouTube stream, our second stream, but we'll be right back here at the top of the hour to kick off Flyby Day.
Bueno, están comentando que abrirán otra transmisión. Nosotros también estaremos abriendo una transmisión especial para este momento. Muy ¿Por qué la cabina es tan pequeña? Bueno, hacer cabinas mucho más grandes, la verdad. Increíble que estemos viviendo este momento. De nuevo, no sé, me siento muy... como si estuviera viviendo hace 50 años en las misiones Apolo. Pero ahora nos está tocando a nosotros. Comentan, sí, se cortó. Bueno, la NASA va a cambiar de transmisión. Gracias por este en vivo en español. No hay de qué. Gracias a ustedes, gracias por su apoyo, gracias por suscribirse, por esos likes. Siempre traemos de tener la mejor cobertura en español para toda la comunidad hispana. Ya están detrás de la luna, aún no están completamente atrás. En unas horitas empezará todo esto, es del sobrevuelo. ¿Por qué no toman la cámara en vivo? Bueno, están un poquito ocupados en este momento. Bueno, señores, tenemos aquí arriba en el chat la transmisión especial del sobrevuelo lunar. Los invito a que den sobre el link y vayan a verla. Es la transmisión especial de Frontera Espacial para este sobrevuelo lunar. Perfecto. Vamos a continuar con unas preguntitas más en lo que preparamos todo para esta transmisión especial sobre el sobrevuelo lunar. Saludos de Santa Fe, Argentina. Un saludo. Qué bonito. Sí, la luna es muy hermosa. Sí, ya está llegando. El día de hoy es el punto donde estarán más cerca. ¿Dónde es el link? Aquí pueden ver el link aquí fijado en la transmisión, o en caso contrario pueden buscar el canal de Frontera Espacial, picarle aquí en la imagen del canal y los llevará a la transmisión que tenemos preparada, la transmisión especial de Frontera Espacial. Uy, ahí empezó. Empezó la transmisión de la NASA. Nosotros empezaremos en breves nuestra transmisión en español. Sí. En caso de que no vean el link, pueden ingresar a nuestro canal y ahí estará en espera la transmisión de Frontera Espacial.
Continuing to test out every bit of Orion.
Coming back to Earth, 7 miles a second.
When humanity sets big goals, we can bring
Sí se conoce como es la cara oculta de la Luna. Ya se ha fotografiado incluso con la luz del sol. Me encanta ese comentario. Para reducir la velocidad tiran un gancho a la luna.
Space Center in Houston, Texas. I'm Leah Cheshire Mustachio. Right now, the Artemis 2 crew and Mission Control are preparing to support today's lunar flyby, the first time we've sent humans around the moon.
Bueno, está comentando, ahora mismo el centro de control y los tripulantes de la nave se están preparando para este sobrevuelo lunar.
You'll notice that we pause every time we hear communications to and from the crew. They are the stars for today. This afternoon, the crew will have their closest approach of the moon and will surpass the record.
Se están preparando para apuntar todas las cámaras
of the furthest humans have ever flown, set by the Apollo 13 astronauts in 1970. You're looking at a live view inside the Orion spacecraft and at our Artemis 2 crew members. They have just completed their post-sleep period, during which they conduct any hygiene and cabin setup for
La música que ponían de fondo es buena, muchas gracias. Parte de esa música la hicimos yo y Julián.
Daily planning conference. The flight control team here in Mission Control Houston collecting information from all consoles.
¿Qué imagen es la que vamos a ver? Bueno, vamos a estar viendo ese acercamiento a la luna. Será algo lento, pero vamos a ver la luna demasiado cerca en las próximas horas. Exacto, siempre estamos viendo la misma cara de la luna. Algunas veces con la luz directa del sol, algunas veces no le da la luz del sol, pero siempre la vemos. El enlace al otro directo, el link al otro directo se encuentra aquí en el chat, fijado. En caso de que no lo vean, entren al canal de Frontera Espacial, cierren el chat de aquí, entren al canal de Frontera Espacial, a la imagen o al nombre de Frontera Espacial, y ahí les hará la transmisión especial en español.
Houston Integrity for AGA.
Ready to copy.
Bueno, señores, pues nos estamos viendo en la próxima transmisión que ya está por iniciarse. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos aquí. Esta transmisión seguirá, pero les recomiendo ir a la otra transmisión especial en español sobre el sobrevuelo lunar. Muchas gracias y nos estaremos viendo en la otra transmisión. Recuerdo, esta seguirá en vivo, pero la otra estará comentada. Muchas gracias.
Good question, Christina. The milestone words that we exchange at the record distance at the end of the conference will take the place of the PAO timelined activity.
Bueno, pues seguimos con estas imágenes del interior de la nave Orión dentro de esa cápsula en el día, yo creo que más especial para todos esos astronautas, para esos 4 héroes que se encuentran a bordo de la nave Orión. Hablamos nada más y nada menos que el comandante Wright Wiseman, el piloto Victor Glover, la primera especialista de misión Christina Koch y el astronauta especialista de la Agencia Espacial Canadiense, el señor Jeremy Hansen, que hoy va a vivir su mejor día en la exploración espacial, ya que es su primer vuelo. Y eso solo es posible gracias a estar en esta misión Artemis que estamos cubriendo aquí en Frontera Espacial con todos vosotros. Así que vamos a seguir esta, digamos, carrera hasta el momento del T0, hasta ese momento del flyby, contestando todas vuestras dudas, preguntas, cuestiones que tengáis a lo largo de los próximos instantes. Así que por aquí vamos a ir contestando esas preguntas, pero sobre todo diciéndonos que bienvenidos a Frontera Espacial a todos los nuevos que están en el día de hoy y que les animamos a que se suscriban porque lo que se viene en el día de hoy es simplemente historia, simplemente historia. Y por aquí hay una pregunta muy interesante que nos hace Emilia Eva Alfonso 6042 y nos pregunta si se puede estudiar las células humanas en el espacio y para posibles estudios del cáncer. Y la respuesta es que sí, efectivamente. Eso es posible gracias a todos los estudios que se han estado haciendo durante años, ya podemos hablar de décadas, por la misión de la NASA en la Estación Espacial Internacional. Esto es algo importantísimo y es algo que ha permitido desarrollar nuevos tratamientos y nuevas maneras de atacar el cáncer. Así que sí, la investigación médica y en concreto la cura para algunos tipos de cáncer se encuentra también en el espacio y más concretamente a bordo de la ISS. No obstante, en la ocasión del vuelo de hoy, en esta ocasión del viaje a la Luna de Artemis, no se está estudiando este tipo de aspectos, sino que se están estudiando otras cosas más concretas. ¿Qué cosas? Pues cómo afecta el entorno espacial al cuerpo, cómo afecta la radiación solar, cómo afecta absolutamente todo lo que significa estar en el espacio profundo de manera constante durante todo el tiempo que están, porque a la distancia que están de la Tierra en estos momentos no hay magnetosfera de la Tierra, campos magnéticos de la Tierra que nos protejan. Por aquí nos preguntan si en la Luna hay Starbucks. Pues creo que no hay Starbucks porque está un poco difícil cultivar el café. Y también preguntan a qué distancia pasarán los astronautas en el día de hoy y también a qué velocidad. Bueno, la distancia a la que pasarán los astronautas está en torno a los 7.000 kilómetros de distancia. Estos 7.000 kilómetros de distancia también servirán para dejar a esos humanos en el récord de la humanidad más lejos que ha llegado de la Tierra. Y esto es posible única y exclusivamente por el perfil de misión que estamos en el día de hoy. Y es que ahí tenemos a los astronautas ya preparados para las imágenes que verán en el día de hoy y al perfil tan especial de misión que tenemos. Un perfil que se conoce como órbita de retorno libre. Una órbita en la cual, sin hacer nada, desde el momento que salieron de la Tierra, ya sabían exactamente por dónde iban a volar y a llegar. Justo ahora en pantalla tenemos imágenes de Reid Wiseman, el comandante de la misión Artemis 2. Comandante de la misión y también responsable en jefe de todos los que van a bordo. Por aquí hay una consulta que nos dicen, buenas, una consulta, en caso de riesgo inminente para los 4 astronautas, ¿hay algún protocolo para ellos de que puedan acabar con su vida ellos mismos? Pues Adrián Montero, no sé si existe ese protocolo. No me parecería descabellado que lo tuviesen, pero es algo que obviamente nunca se haría público. Así que es importante tener eso en cuenta. Por aquí, un saludo a Juan David, que se ha hecho miembro de Troposfera. Bienvenido al canal, bienvenido a la comunidad y a la familia de Frontera Espacial. Y lo que siempre decimos, no hace falta que seáis miembros para formar parte de Frontera Espacial. Únicamente tenéis que suscribiros, darle like, compartir con todos vuestros amigos, porque hoy vamos a ver historia. Pero no solo hoy, es que en Frontera Espacial estamos narrando toda la exploración espacial humana, y toda esta exploración espacial humana no sería posible sin toda la inversión en la exploración espacial normal. Así que si quieres enterarte de todo lo que está sucediendo, pues eso lo tienes que hacer nada más y nada menos que gracias a Frontera Espacial, el medio en español que cubre más lanzamientos y hace más directos de lanzamiento de todos. Estamos aquí. Y a esas 15.000 personas, estamos a menos de 200 personas de llegar a los 83.000, así que dadle suscribirse, que ahí estaremos. Efectivamente, por aquí lo preguntan, ¿también se da en otras cadenas? Sí, la NASA obviamente hace una transmisión oficial, también se ve en Netflix, pero ya os voy adelantando que no lo vais a ver con el mismo comentario, no os vais a enterar de muchísimas cosas, porque aquí en Frontera Espacial nos hemos preparado específicamente para ello, y todo eso será posible gracias a que estamos aquí únicamente para vosotros. Hablando de la misión del día de hoy y del hito que se va a cumplir el día de hoy, es el de los astronautas teniendo un inicio un acercamiento muy cercano. Y lo que ya sí que os voy a ir pidiendo, amigos, que os vayáis anotando el siguiente enlace que estoy pasando por el chat, porque ahí es donde vamos a seguir. Ahí es donde vamos a seguir en los próximos minutos. Vamos a iniciar el directo oficial ya de el sobrevuelo. A todas esas 16.000 personas que nos estáis acompañando, tenéis que ir a ese segundo directo, tenéis que estar atentos, porque ahí es donde haremos la cobertura comentada. Así que por aquí Marquitos dice: felicitaciones, Frontera Espacial, 15.000 personas, es impresionante la cantidad de gente que se sumó a la comunidad, son unos genios, merecen el reconocimiento. Muchísimas gracias por tu comentario, Marquitos, muchas gracias a todos los que nos acompañáis, porque sí, mientras vosotros penséis, bueno, estamos viéndolo aquí con vosotros, con Frontera Espacial, es que nosotros al final lo hacemos porque nos apasiona de verdad. Si no estuviésemos en Frontera Espacial, estaríamos enfadados por no tener las vistas que tenéis ahora mismo en pantalla. Es decir, tener la capacidad de poder estar viendo a la tripulación, poder estar viendo las imágenes del avión, poder estar viendo también la trayectoria que tiene que seguir la nave, todo en la misma pantalla, todo a la vez, poder tener los contadores, poder saber que en 45 minutos vamos a romper el récord que se estableció en la era Apolo, un récord que se estableció hace más de 50 años, un récord del cual hay millones, miles y millones de personas que no han visto batir, y eso lo vamos a ver en el día de hoy. Así que muchísimas gracias a todos los que nos estáis acompañando. Y hablando de Apolo Records, Christopher nos pone el siguiente comentario, lo perdí. Bueno, también una pregunta muy interesante que hemos estado contestando antes, pero que seguro que os estáis haciendo, porque yo también me la haría si no lo conociese, es ¿dónde están las estrellas? Y es que todo el mundo dice: Olin, estamos viendo una imagen de la Luna con la cápsula Orión, y las estrellas, ¿dónde están? Es algo súper importante y que no se ven. Bueno, las estrellas están. Básicamente el problema no es el espacio, sino es cómo está ajustada la cámara. En primer lugar, la cámara es una cámara de ingeniería, por lo tanto está todo preparado para tener esa cámara de ingeniería, poder mostrar las cosas para los astronautas. Cuando esté en 4K tendremos imágenes con más resolución, pero tampoco seguiremos viendo las estrellas. Y eso suele pasar porque esta transmisión, la cámara está establecida, está configurada para poder ver los objetos con muy brillantes. Muy brillantes respecto a ¿qué? Al fondo negro. Por lo tanto, esos son únicamente la Luna y la cápsula Orión. Las estrellas son muchísimo más débiles en comparación, así que con esa exposición van a desaparecer del fondo. Para ver las estrellas habría que usar una exposición más larga, aumentar mucho la sensibilidad de la cámara, y si haces eso, entonces lo que pasará es que la nave, la Luna o la Tierra, depende de lo que se esté mirando en ese momento, quedaría sobreexpuesto, quedaría quemado, la imagen quedaría mal hecha. Por eso mismo es por el motivo por el cual no es posible verlas en esta imagen.
Two views, both coming from Orion. There on the left, the inside of the spacecraft.
Por aquí dice, saludos, ¿el oxígeno que consumen es producido en Artemis o son tanques que llevan a bordo o ambos? Muy buena pregunta. La respuesta es son tanques que llevan a bordo. Pero de hecho esos tanques no están, digamos, colocados, no están listos en lo que vienen a ser no están puestos en la nave Orión que estamos viendo, en esa cápsula, sino que están detrás. Está el módulo de servicio europeo. Es decir, ese módulo en el cual permite a los astronautas dar servicio, o sea, permite a la nave estar con servicio. ¿Qué le da ese módulo? Le da el control térmico de temperatura. Es decir, si hace calor o frío, que los primeros días de la misión hacía frío. Es decir, se tenía que arreglar lo que estaba sucediendo en la propia nave. No solo eso. Además de eso, lo que sucedía era que tenías... lo que sucedía es que también ese sistema te permite dar el control de energía. Los paneles solares los tienen... los paneles solares también lo tienen ese módulo de servicio. El agua, las reservas de agua también están ahí. Así que es importante tener en cuenta. Por aquí dicen, un ingeniero de comunicaciones amigo no se moja en la cosmología. Dice que es imposible que eso sea directo. Efectivamente, correcto. Es imposible que sea directo y tienes razón. Tiene una latencia. En concreto, una latencia de unos aproximadamente 1.5 segundos. Estamos llegando ya al 1.5 segundos. Eso lo podemos saber gracias a las antenas del Deep Space Network. Así que no es directo como tal. Hay latencia de 2 segundos. Ponle un poquito más. Procesado de la cámara, del ordenador de a bordo, el procesado de señal, la recepción en la Tierra. Bueno, es verdad, igual no es un vivo 100%, sino hay unos 30 segundos de retraso, pero yo creo que es un retraso más que considerable. Así que es importante saberlo. O sea, podemos decir que es en vivo sin ningún miedo a equivocarnos. Lo que no será en vivo, y esto sí que es importante que lo sepáis, es el momento en el cual tengamos tengamos la ocultación de la nave. La ocultación de la nave habrá un momento de 41 minutos, más o menos un minuto de error, que no se podrá saber lo que está pasando, porque la Luna estará funcionando como una especie de bloqueo oculto que nos impedirá completamente conocer lo que está sucediendo. Así que es imprescindible que estemos atentos a el reloj, y cuando sea el momento exacto, el momento que se conoce como la salida AOS, la salida de la Orión, la adquisición de señal por parte de la Tierra de la Orión, en ese momento tenemos que empezar a recibir señal de la Orión para confirmar que todo está bien en órbita. Y como decíamos anteriormente, dice, ¿por qué se ve todo negro? ¿Llegó tarde? No. A la gente que dice que llegó tarde, no, llegaste pronto. En concreto, llegaste 5 horas 43 minutos pronto, pero no es tan pronto. ¿Por qué? Porque al final las imágenes cada vez van a ser mejores, cada vez van a ser mejores. Lo que sí que he de decir es que a todos los que estáis por el chat, es importantísimo que vayáis al directo que vamos a hacer en Frontera Espacial, en nuestro directo principal. Y es que hoy volvemos a la Luna. Hoy volvemos a la Luna y para volver a la Luna, la parte comentada en español no va a estar en este directo en sí, sino que va a ser en el directo que estoy pasando en este momento por el chat, que tenéis en el primer comentario fijado. Ahí tenéis que ir porque en nada, en unos minutitos, vamos a iniciar el directo también en ese canal, en ese, digamos, directo, para estar ya en la Luna. Así que muy atentos.
Fascinating. So what helped us select the targets that the crew is going to be photographing today?
Y mientras estamos tal, parece ser que ya ha iniciado el otro directo, lo estoy viendo por aquí, así que volvemos a la Luna, así que lo que ya os voy a pedir a todos, aquí, a estas 16.000 personas, ya no voy a contestar preguntas aquí, si queréis, tenéis que vernos en el siguiente directo. Nada, estamos ya iniciando, así que a las 17.000 personas que nos estáis acompañando ya, tenéis que ir al directo que estoy pasando por el chat, importantísimo. El comentario en español se va a acabar aquí en unos instantes, así que yo ya no voy a contestar más preguntas, únicamente estoy para deciros que en el chat tenéis que pasar directamente al siguiente enlace, al enlace que tenéis en el comentario fijado, al enlace que estamos pasando por el chat.
Fascinating. I cannot wait to hear what they have to say.
Os esperamos
So
en
we just
ese
heard them
directo.
say that their long lens is configured. That's very exciting. And for us, when we look at the moon from Earth, what features are we seeing that the crew will also fly by today?
Yeah, so I really hope that people on Earth who are in nighttime will look up into the moon tonight. The features that the crew will see that we can also currently see is Aristarchus Plateau. Grimaldi is another feature. They're going to be sort of on our limb. And then Oceanus Procularum, that really dark, large area on the near side that we can see. The crew is going to see that in the beginning. The more they fly around, the less of that they will see. So those are targets we will hear them describe early on in the flyby.
Fascinating. Well, and the crew has been training for years for this day, and so we're going to hear them make a lot of calls about what they are seeing on the moon, and they're going to use a lot of interesting terms that I myself need some brushing up on. So could you walk us through a few of the things that we'll hear them use to describe the moon, like albedo,
Recordad, gente, os esperamos en el...
just some of those major terms we expect to hear from the crew.
Yeah, of course.
La
Albedo is basically a term
no pasa nada. Básicamente os pasé la programación de Frontera. Así que nada, no pasa nada. No se notó. Os esperamos en este chat. Muchísimas gracias, es decir, eso sí, a toda la gente que nos ha donado. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos. Estamos iniciando directo en el otro chat. Estamos con la intro, es una intro espectacular en estos momentos, así que si estáis aquí os lo estáis perdiendo. Que sí, que están los astronautas, pero es que estas imágenes que veis en pantalla ahora mismo las vais a tener en el otro directo también, además la parte comentada. Ese gemido. No, es que envié un enlace por el chat que no podía enviar, porque lo tenía copiado de antes. Os esperamos en el otro directo. Anímense a pasarse al otro directo por si, que ahí es donde vamos a tener el chat comentado.
Atmosphere of the moon. It's barely there, but there is dust on the lunar surface that can get lofted up through electrostatic forces. And when the sun goes behind the moon, it can scatter forward on those dust particles and sort of like create a little glow on the horizon. And so we're really excited to see if the crew can actually see that.
This is so exciting. Thank you so much for walking through all of that with us. Julian Gross, Artemis Curation Lead, we really appreciate you joining us here today, and good luck to your team.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
We are now MET 4 days, 18 hours, and 49 minutes into the flight of Orion. This view of the moon from the Orion spacecraft as we get closer and closer. We're live here in Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, just about 32 minutes away until the crew surpasses the record set by Apollo 13 as the farthest astronauts to ever leave Earth. This view coming from a camera mounted on the tip of one of Orion's 4 solar arrays. Each array has a camera on its tip, and so we anticipate getting views throughout the lunar flyby. Of course, except during the point of loss of signal when the spacecraft flies behind the moon. Inside the cabin, the crew are configuring the inside of Orion for today's flyby, making sure they have everything just where they want it to help them take the pictures that they are aiming for the science team here on the ground. Coming up in just a few minutes, we will have a pre-lunar flyby conference.
Hola a todos, no es que estén muteados mis compañeros, es que estamos en el otro directo que os estamos pasando por el chat. Así que hay que entrar en el otro link, como dice Rob Vidales, lo estamos spameando un poquito por el chat para que lo podéis encontrar fácil. Ahí ya empezamos la cobertura oficial de Frontera Espacial. Todo esto que hemos estado haciendo ahora era una previa improvisada que ha salido porque en cierto momento he preguntado al chat si querían estar contestando preguntas y el chat ha respondido que sí, pero la cobertura oficial de Frontera Espacial es la que está en esa segunda pantalla del directo, es la, digamos que es lo que estamos viendo ahí. Nos podréis ver, nos podréis ver, nos podéis preguntar, podréis hacer absolutamente todo, pero lo que no podréis hacerlo es aquí, porque aquí se quedará el directo. Si alguien solo quiere escuchar la música y tener las imágenes, también las tendrá, no hay problema por eso, pero el directo de oficial de Frontera Espacial, donde está todo el comentario, digamos, de todo lo que es el comentario, será en ese otro chat. Así que muy atentos, lo volvemos a pasar para todos aquellos que no os habéis dado cuenta. Lo tenéis por ahí. Así que os esperamos en el otro lado, ¿eh?
Ahead of the official beginning of flyby today, Kelsey Young, Artemis Science Flight Operations Lead, will be conducting a pre-lunar flyby crew conference. She will give information on camera setup, remind the crew of their intended targets, answer questions from the astronauts, and more. Young will help the crew set their targeting timeline, which counts down the time they have to image each target and what they'll be capturing next. She'll also remind them that the ground team will be calling for science sit reps, also known as situation reports. Those are essentially call-downs to report what they've been observing. They'll continue to do this even through their LOS, their loss of signal, as those communications will come down later on after they reconnect with us on Earth. This view in the cabin, you can see the crew members are already using their cameras, getting set up, and they have dimmed the cabin lights to allow them better visibility outside of the windows and fewer reflections. Now, 28 minutes until they become the humans to travel farthest from our planet.
Houston Integrity, we are ready for the conference on your call.
Houston is ready for the conference, passing you over to Science.
Good morning, crew. This is Science. We couldn't be more excited for a full day of lunar and planetary observations today, the first one in over 54 years. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear, and Kelsey, you just got to know you're pulling us away from the moon right now, so let's go.
Message received. I will keep it tight here. I did just want to start with a thank you on behalf of the Lunar Science team and the entire lunar and planetary science community, of which you are absolutely a part, for what you've already done in this mission and what you're going to do today to inspire the next generation of scientists. I have to say Moonjoy is the new term that's already become our team's new motto, so thanks for that. In this conference, we'll cover hardware and config reminders, and then I'll just briefly, as you said, cover today's science plan. I'm assuming you already have your LTPs up. Confirm that, and I'll jump quickly. Copy that. That was going to be one of my questions for you, and I'll ask a question back. Is that the config that you and Christina plan to carry throughout the day for PCD use?
Negative, Kelsey. Our plan for PCD use is we have run the power cables to Windows 2 and 3, and we are going to leave one PCD. The yellow PCD will be in window 2, and the green PCD will be in window 3, and we will do that the whole day, and then the red PCD will be a rover.
Understood. Super helpful. Recommend when you guys switch in and out of PCDs to add your initials to your OneNote annotations, just so we can keep track of whose is who. And then given that you have 3 PCDs instead of 4 for the data transfer at the end of the day, recommend making a new subdirectory entitled For Science for your own photos, or with your initials, that we can keep track of which pictures came from which flashcards.
This view.
So, Kelsey, I just want to here's what we're doing. We have community cards in all cameras on board, and then when each astronaut approaches their camera, the intent is they will put their card into that camera for photos and then put the community card back in at the end of the session. But just know it is harder to manage cards than we thought, and we don't want to miss science, so it might end up a bit more disorganized.
Understood. Thanks for that essay. Just read the flashcard numbers down when you get a chance, and we'll follow your lead on the best thing to do operationally during the flyby. With that, I'll move on to windows. So the window characterization DFTO you guys did a few days ago confirmed that window 2 is ideal for imaging, so no change to config of photographer in window 2, observer in window 3, and science sit reps in window 1. Coming up on the handover. Be back.
Hang on, Kelsey. The way we have it configured, tell us if this is going to be wrong. Window 2 is the long lens with a shroud. Window.
As you heard, science officer called to the crew. We are now in a handover time period. We will regain communications with the crew very shortly. These are tracked, and we are currently on the Deep Space Network. This is the first time humans have used the Deep Space Network in over 50 years, given that we currently use the tracking data relay satellite systems in the for the International Space Station. This view from Artemis Mission Control on the right is Kelsey Young. That's who you hear speaking with the crew. Young is the Artemis Science Flight Operations Lead, and we also look forward to speaking with her here today.
Siento fuego en la piel, pierdo la razón. 3, 2, 1, rompemos la presión. Si el mundo se hace.
Again, we are just about 22 minutes until we reach the Apollo record. We are in a handover of satellites with the crew aboard Orion.
The T-shirt shroud for the Z9 and solar, and then window 3 will be for visual observations, and window 4 is for floater.
And thanks, Integrity, for that. Reed, we had a handover during that time, so I'm going to have to ask you to give that read back on window orientation for the crew again.
Okay, we are happy to change it, but the way we have it configured right now is window 1 has a T-shirt shroud for the Z9 for solar. Window 2 has the shroud for the long lens for both lunar and solar. Window 3 is for visual observations. Window 4 is for floater. And then the docking hatch window has had a great view, so we've done a lot of mapping through that as well.
All right, copy all, Reed. A note just on the window 1 T-shirt shroud that you can remove that for the lunar observation block if you want that extra view for another floater, but defer to you guys on that. You are go to use the full 400 millimeter zoom on the long lens, but where possible, try to keep the end of the lens flush with the window to prevent imaging through the multiple window panes at an angle. And if you have to take an image at an angle, recommend you limit the max focal length to 200 millimeters or simply acquire the images at multiple focal lengths. Last imaging update as a result of the DFTO is that if you can take the images out of the left side of window 2 where possible, that is the best half the window. Understand that might not be possible with the shroud. Any other imaging questions from you?
Okay, copy that.
Okay, last couple reminders. Don't forget the ability to take the WAVE files to tag imagery that you are wanting to follow up on using the FN3 button on your camera. And then a couple quick notes on your LTP. We have refined your precise flyby timing since generating the LTP. Optimus has the correct timing for the LOS and AOS, but the LTP identifiers for LOS and AOS are roughly 2 minutes later than they will be in reality. Final LTP timing update is that the green line on your LTP should start automatically 45 minutes before the flyby. If it doesn't appear, let me know and I'll have troubleshooting steps for you. Last updates are on the eclipse, so only for that last hour today. Of course, remember if the sun is in view to use your eclipse glasses. And reminder that we will have a few activities for you prior to the eclipse to reconfigure all 3 cameras for corona and deep sky observations. These activities, some of which will occur during the forward link LOS, so we wanted to flag it for you now. Any questions before I cover the last 2 reminders?
No, we have no questions on that.
Last couple eclipse reminders, the sunset period and the first roughly 23 minutes of the eclipse will fall during that forward link LOS, but we'll still have a return link, and we're still looking forward to your science sit reps and observations during that time. And I do have a reminder for you on your preferred starting config for the eclipse in terms of role responsibility. Let me know if you want me to read that up or if you guys have that in your minds already. And if no other questions on config, I'll give you a few science-focused reminders.
Give us a quick high level, but we see it in Optimus, and I think we got it squared away. But give us your quick, Kelsey, high level.
Okay. A couple changes from the first LTP you studied is that Glushko is the only feature that the same pair will view twice. That's Reed and Jeremy. That's why that's the only target you see that is marked as 1 of 1 and 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. So Ohm and Oriental are in there twice, but they're by different pairs, which is why you don't see them marked accordingly. A note from feedback on your observations so far over the last couple days, a reminder that if you note structure and texture as well as color and albedo, please note any correlation between the 2, and also a reminder that negative observations are still valuable science. So a lack of color or a lack of structure associated with color is also valuable. A reminder also that your observations so far indicate it will likely take some time for your eyes to adjust. We especially heard that around your terminator observations and your color observations. So reminder to know that your eye adaptation is going to kind of come in throughout your shift, and let us know when you start to see that nuance. Last reminder is around Earthset and Earthrise. When you're viewing us back here at home, you'll be looking directly at Asia, Africa, and Oceania. So I'm sure people watching from those places here on Earth will want to give you all a wave as you take their picture. Any other questions for me?
Kelsey, hey, when you're talking window 2 left and right side, just can you say towards window 1 or towards window 3, and then we'll know that we are talking the same language?
Absolutely. So I mean that the side of window 2 closest to window 3 is preferred for imaging.
Okay, the side of window 2 closest to window 3 is preferred for recording. Stand by, we'll talk to the crew.
Again, we are in our pre-lunar flyby science conference with Kelsey Young. Kelsey Young is the Artemis Science Flight Operations Lead, speaking with the crew aboard Orion. They've been training for this moment for years, and this is their last opportunity to get some further pointers and information.
Kelsey, for the T-shirt shroud, what window does the science team think will have the best view? Is it window 1 or window 4?
The only time we're strongly recommending use of the window shroud.
The T-shirt window shroud for the eclipse viewing, which window is primary for Z9?
Window 1.
Awesome. So we have got that all set up. And just to be 100% sure, window 1 is the most port window by the food warmer. Window 2 is right in front of seat 1. Window 3 is right in front of seat 2. And window 4 is on the starboard side by the side hatch. Do you agree with all that?
We agree on the ground. Good read back.
Okay, that's awesome. Kelsey, we're going to close with happy words. It's just incredible. I wish you were up here to see all the smiling faces, to hear all these terminologies being thrown around, and we are just fired up to get started on this day. Let me pass the mic around if anybody has anything to add.
Kelsey, it's so great to hear your voice on the loops. I just want to channel everything that you guys are probably feeling right through my eyes and heart. It is awesome to see the side of the moon. You guys made us excited for this day, and we couldn't appreciate it anymore. And we are ready to hopefully deliver on all the awesome training you guys have provided.
I'll just add, Kelsey, it is blowing my mind what you can see with the naked eye on the moon right now. It's just unbelievable.
Kelsey, and to the whole Lunar Science team, all of you, all the work you put into this, we're just grateful. Can't wait to get going. And thank you for the tipper, for Carol Crater, and for Integrity. We can see them, and we've imaged them, and can even see with the naked eye. Quite impressive. Thank you so much.
Beautiful words, you guys. Thanks so much. And I got video of the science team right now, and they are all absolutely buzzing. Looking forward to today.
Okay, we're heading into the timeline. Cheers, guys.
Of the pre-lunar flyby science conference with Dr. Kelsey Young. Young has served as the Artemis Science Flight Operations Lead, getting the crew ready. And we're live in Artemis Mission Control in Houston, but we are not the only room monitoring today's flyby. As you heard Young mention, in this same building and just down the hall, a multidisciplinary lunar science team supports the Artemis II crew in real time, including experts in lunar geology, impact cratering, volcanism, polar science, imaging, and visualization. There are two integrated facilities, and the first is the SIR, which is what you have right here. That's the Science Evaluation Room. They are embedded within Mission Control to provide science input during live operations like what we see today. Additionally, and not pictured, we have the Science Mission Operations Room, a back room that processes data, evaluates imagery, and supports rapid analysis. Our science officer on console in Mission Control Houston serves as the primary interface between the science team and the flight controllers, ensuring science priorities are represented during mission execution. Again, today, that's Dr. Kelsey Young, who will be speaking with the crew during the time they're behind the moon. We will be speaking with her once the crew is behind the moon and out of communication with Earth. Back inside the Orion spacecraft on your left, closest to the camera, NASA astronaut Christina Cook. To her left, NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman. To his left, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. And all the way in the back, NASA astronaut Victor Glover, our Artemis II crew. We are now approaching 8 minutes until the crew surpasses the Apollo 13 record. Currently 12,599 miles away from the moon, 248,507 miles away from Earth. You may also hear the Orion spacecraft referred to today as Integrity. This was named by the Artemis II crew. It is
Integrity crew. We have Reed's family in the viewing gallery. You're welcome to say hello.
Well, whether you're being serious or you're kidding around, that is awesome to hear. Thanks, Jenny. And hello to Ellie and Katie. I don't know who else is there, but it's great to know that you're in mission control right now, following along. We are having a blast up here, and the view of the moon is absolutely amazing.
I'm seeing a lot of hearts come out of the viewing gallery and even more smiles. Thanks, Reed. Copy heart, copy bracelet.
That call from Capcom Jenny Gibbons, Canadian Space Agency astronaut and Artemis II backup crew member, letting Reed Wiseman know that he has family here to support him today in the Artemis Mission Control viewing room. As I was mentioning, we have the Orion spacecraft flying today. However, the Artemis crew members named their Orion spacecraft Integrity, so you will hear calls to this entire crew with the name Integrity. They say that the name Integrity embodies the foundation of trust, respect, candor, and humility across the crew and the many engineers, technicians, scientists, planners, and dreamers required for mission success. This view live from the outside of Orion as we continue. Preparing for our lunar flyby, now less than 5 minutes from surpassing the record set by Apollo 13 astronauts for the farthest humans to travel from Earth. This will not be the farthest that Integrity travels today. They will continue until they reach approximately a distance of 252,760 miles. That would be about 4,105 miles farther than Apollo 13. However, these numbers are our targets, and we will get confirmation on those numbers as soon as we possibly can and share them with you all. We talked a little bit about what to expect from the crew, whether that's taking photos or making audio recordings. To get a little more detailed, Reed Wiseman and Jeremy Hansen will be up first to capture imagery and record audio on the portable computing devices. You hear those referred to as PCDs, while Victor and Christina serve as the support members. The crew will switch windows and roles halfway through their shift, and 1 hour and 5 minutes later, Victor Glover and Christina Cook will be the next crew members at windows 2 and 3 to take photos and make annotations, while Reed and Jeremy take on those support roles. There are 5 viewing blocks, and the crew will swap out with each one. During 2 of the blocks, the 2 support members will also be able to enjoy their midday meal. At least 3 times per block is a science sit rep. Again, situational report. This is partially an operational status, reporting back if they missed any targets or gotten any specific ones, if they have issues with their camera or any other operational items. The other part is an actual description of the moon. This task is done by one of the support team astronauts, so that's not the crew currently taking photos or making annotations, but they do have windows 1 and 4 that they can float up and provide that information from. If you watch the entirety of the flyby, you'll also notice the crew will be photographing some targets multiple times to get observations in different lighting conditions. This is due to Orion changing their location throughout the flyby. What this crew will be able to capture in a couple of hours of the same targets in different lighting would take orbiters years to do because of solar and spacecraft positioning. This crew has studied the moon extensively, and they're also familiar with what the science team calls the Big 15. These are 15 features that they've memorized, so at any time, they'll be able to see 5 of those and help orient themselves and where they are around the moon. Those targets are diverse and complex in their geologic history, and observations of them could help answer some big-picture science questions. If you've been following the mission, you can see that the configuration of the cabin is a little bit different than what it looked like on launch day. After ascent, the crew were allowed to reconfigure their spacecraft, and you can see that they've taken down seats. They have also taken away footrests. This gives them more opportunity to move about the spacecraft. Orion itself has 330 cubic feet of habitable volume. That's about the size of 2 minivans and is 60% more cubic volume than the Apollo spacecraft. We are standing by for the Integrity crew aboard Orion to surpass the Apollo 13 record.
Integrity crew, on April 15th, 1970, during the Apollo 13 mission, 3 explorers set the record for the farthest distance humans have ever traveled from our home planet. At that time, over 55 years ago, Lovell, Swigert, and Hayes flew 248,655 statute miles away from Earth. Today, for all humanity, you're pushing beyond that frontier. Integrity, over to you.
Yeah, from the cabin of Integrity here, as we surpass the furthest distance humans have ever traveled from planet Earth, we do so in honoring the extraordinary efforts and feats of our predecessors in human space exploration. We will continue our journey even further into space before Mother Earth succeeds in pulling us back to everything that we hold dear. But we, most importantly, choose this moment to challenge this generation and the next to make sure this record is not long-lived.
Thank you, Integrity, and congratulations to you and the rest of the Artemis II team.
Thank you, Houston. We have a couple more things we'd like to take this moment for. Our science team helped us out with a couple of relatively fresh craters on the moon that have not been previously named, and our crew would like to propose a couple of potential names for those items or those areas. And we spent a bit of time this morning looking out the window, and we're able to see them now, both with our naked eye and through the long lens, and so we feel this is a good time to send this down, and a special shout out to Kelsey for helping us with this. The first one we'd like to suggest is a named crater in honor of our great spacecraft integrity. And so if you were to look at Oriental on the far side and then draw a line straight up to Ohm on the far side, relatively in the middle is an unnamed crater, and we would like to suggest it be called Integrity in the future. And the second one, and especially meaningful for this crew, is a number of years ago we started this journey in our close-knit astronaut family, and we lost a loved one. And there's a feature in a really neat place on the moon, and it is on the near side, far side boundary. In fact, it's just on the near side of that boundary, and so at certain times of the moon's transit around Earth, we will be able to see this from Earth. And so we lost a loved one. Her name was Carol, the spouse of Reed, the mother of Katie and Ellie. And if you want to find this one, you look at Glushko, and it's just to the northwest of that, at the same latitude as Ohm, and it's a bright spot on the moon. And we would like to call it Carol, and you spell that C-A-R-R-O-L-L.
Integrity and Carol Crater, loud and clear. Thank you.
As the Artemis II crew passed the record set by Apollo 13 for the farthest humans to ever fly from Earth at 12:57 p.m. Central Time, 1:57 p.m. Eastern Time, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen shared.
We're getting ourselves all put back together now, and we are going to dim the cabin lights and prepare for our science objectives ahead. Thank you.
Sounds good. We're doing the same down here, and you're maneuvering to your observation attitude.
As we pass that Apollo 13 record of the furthest humans to ever fly from Earth At 12:57 p.m. Central Time, 1:57 p.m. Eastern Time, the Artemis II crew shared some poignant words, specifically Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. The crew also called down 2 craters not yet named that they would like to name. One, Integrity, in honor of their spacecraft, which they have named. That's near the Ohm crater. Another near Glushko, which is a bright spot, named Carol, in memory of Reed Wiseman's wife. There was a moment of silence here in Mission Control Houston. And now the team and the Artemis II crew are ready to begin their lunar flyby. We are 4 days, 19 hours, 31 minutes mission elapsed time of the flight of Artemis II, our 4 astronauts aboard Orion. Today is our lunar flyby day. The spacecraft is currently about 12,000 miles away from the moon, and you can keep up with the distance from Orion to the moon and Earth by visiting nasa.gov/track-Artemis, or you can just stay with us here because we're going to be telling you throughout the day. They are currently 248,834 miles away from planet Earth. Coming up next on the crew's timeline today will be their cabin configuration portion. You heard some calls down to Science Officer Dr. Kelsey Young earlier about how they have configured the cabin so far. This is just a little bit more of timelined activity for them if they need to further do so. On flight day 3, the crew had time on their schedule allotted for configuring the spacecraft cabin for how they intended to arrange it today. Of course, they had to take down that configuration for another test yesterday of their Orion Crew Survival System suits. But configuring it on flight day 3 allows them the opportunity to get a chance to see what works for them now that they are in the microgravity environment. Again, the crew is about to begin their cabin configuration portion of their timeline, though they have been working that already, as well as potentially during their post-sleep period this morning. The official lunar flyby observations are slated to begin in just about 40 minutes. That's when we'll have the crew at the windows photographing the moon, as well as making calls down about what they are seeing. Again, we are live here in Artemis Mission Control for the duration of the flyby. Currently, the Orbit 1 flight control team is on console. This room is staffed 24/7 from the time before the astronauts step foot on the rocket until the time they are splashed down and are safely recovered in the Pacific Ocean on flight day 10. Again, this is Artemis Mission Control here in Houston. We are now 11,777 miles away from the moon. We did pass the Apollo 13 record of farthest humans away from Earth at 12:57 p.m. Central Time, 1:57 p.m. Eastern Time. That distance, 248,655 statute miles from the Earth, continuing to be exceeded by the crew. They will reach their farthest distance from the Earth around 6:07 p.m. Central Time. At that time, they will be in an LOS, or a loss of signal, with us on Earth, as they'll be flying behind the moon. As the crew gets into their cabin configuration preparations, we are joined by Dr. Sarah Noble, the Artemis Lunar Science Lead. Thanks for joining us here today.
Yeah, it's quite a day.
Yeah, we are very excited. I can only imagine how you guys are doing over there. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what your role is for Artemis 2.
Sure. So I'm the Artemis Lunar Science Lead, so over the entire campaign, and my job is basically to make sure that as we have this big adventure back to the moon, we actually learn new things about the moon.
Fascinating. So why is the moon such an important destination today?
Yeah, so the moon is a pretty amazing place. It is a great place to learn about basic fundamental processes that happen on like all the planets, like cratering and volcanology. And also it is, part of our Earth-Moon system. And, the Earth recycles its rocks pretty well, right, through plate tectonics and weathering and whatever. Most of the rocks on the Earth are geologically young. But on the moon, we have the entire record that goes back 4.5 billion years since we formed. And so if we really want to learn about what was happening in that period, like the moon is really the only place we can go.
We're also thinking about going back to the moon, and we want to go to the lunar South Pole. So what makes that such an interesting destination?
Yeah, the South Pole is cool, right? It's far away from the places we went during Apollo. It's different kinds of rocks there, some of the oldest rocks on the moon. It's also a place where we think there might be resources like water. There are craters that really never can see the sun because of the low sun angles there, and they get very cold. And we think that water and other things can build up in those craters, and so we're very interested to see what that might do for us.
I'm very interested as well. So for some of our viewers who might be new to this, what does lunar science look like during an Artemis mission?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting for us as we have sort of built this from scratch to try to understand how we can best use the crew to support our science. And so, we've developed a system. We've got a team in place. We've got a back room here in this building called the SIR, the Science Evaluation Room. And there's in fact a back room to that back room over in another building here at Johnson Space Center where we've got our teams of scientists working really hard. They're actually speaking to this room through our science officer. This is now the first time we've ever had a science officer in flight control room. So we're pretty excited about that. So we have a really voice out and up to the crew.
I know, it's been so exciting to hear Dr. Kelsey Young speaking directly with the crew today, now so close to the moon. And we have a live view here of the science operation, or the science evaluation room. So this is where the majority of your team is today. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. This is a big chunk of our scientists. You can see them in there now working hard, trying to get ready for the day. And then again, there's a second room where we have a lot of our data folks, where the data will first come down and they'll sort of sift through the data and get it ready for this team to take.
What's the mood like right now in the SIR?
It is, I would say, giddy. I think we've worked very hard for this. They have done simulation after simulation. They have worked really hard over the last couple of years to get ready for this moment, and I think everybody's just really excited to see. Even already we've had some descriptions from the crew coming down, and it's so great to see their joy and our joy, our love for the moon come through.
Yes, we are in for a real treat today if it's been anything like their observations the past couple of days. So how are the lunar science teams using this test flight to prepare for future missions to the moon?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the way that we are building our foundation for the future, from everything from, how do you train a crew to be a geologist, right? And so, working through that, getting them classroom training, field training, building the science team, building these physical rooms that we are in, designing the software that the teams are using, and then, figuring out what happens to that data. They're going to take this data and it's going to come down, and how do we get it out to not only our team, but out to the world and the rest of the science community?
Yeah, that's a great point, because when you hear these crew members talk, you would never know that they're not geologists. Your team has trained them so well.
They have been very good students.
Who can blame them? It's a pretty great topic. One more question for you. How does the science that we're doing on Artemis help support long-term exploration, and including our sustained presence on the moon?
Yeah, you know what? We have a saying in the Science Mission Directorate that science enables exploration and exploration enables science, right? So you need the scientists, because we are the ones who are the experts in, landing site and doing analysis of landing site and making sure we can find a good place to land, to understanding the properties of the soil so we can, design our systems to manage that, understanding the radiation environment, keeping our astronauts safe, all of these things, right? But, in return, you provide us with opportunities where now we're going to be able to collect this data and collect samples and deploy our instruments and all of that. So it's a symbiotic relationship.
That makes perfect sense. Well, Dr. Sarah Noble, Artemis Lunar Science Lead, thank you so much for joining us here today. Best of luck to you and your team, and I hope that you get to enjoy today too.
Thank you so much.
We are now getting closer and closer to our lunar neighbor. This live view coming from the Orion spacecraft and a camera mounted on one of its solar array wings.
Houston, integrity for camera serial numbers.
Ready to copy.
Hey Jenny, these are card numbers for the various positions. For the long lens on the D5, we will have individual cards. Victor's 1008, Jeremy 1019, Reed 1012, myself 1015. For the Z9, we will have one card that is dedicated for today, serial number 1007. For the cabin camera D5, we will have one dedicated card for today, serial number 1022.
All right, Christina, we copy all. Thank you.
We just realized that we have Earth out window 1 and Moon out window 2, and Earth out window 4 and Moon out window 3, and it gives you the best idea of scale we have had yet. The Moon is about 3 to 4 times the size of the Earth, and it is almost full, and the Earth is just a small crescent out there. It's magnificent. I got a picture of it with the wide lens. Such a majestic view out here.
Amaze, amaze, amaze. Thank you, Reed.
Those are some of the communications we're excited most about today. Commander Reed Wiseman calling down their view right now. Obviously a little bit different than what we can see from this solar array camera. They are looking through the windows of the Orion spacecraft, able to see at the same time Earth and the Moon. You also heard NASA astronaut Christina Cook calling down some of the cameras that they will be using today. The crew is in that cabin configuration portion, and we expect the lunar flyby observation period to start in just about 20 minutes. Checking in on Orion's distance and speed, they are currently traveling 1,071 miles per hour, 249,159 miles away from Earth, 11,293 miles away from the Moon, and continuing to grow closer. At closest approach to the Moon today, the spacecraft will be just about 4,070 miles away from the lunar surface. This will be during our loss of signal with the crew as they travel behind the Moon, and we will await their return to get the official number for you for how close they come to our lunar neighbor. Inside the cabin today, the lunar targeting package is the primary tool guiding the crew observations and consists of two key components. The Lunar Geography Review helped the astronauts study major lunar features in advance and help learn how to orient themselves during the flyby. Because, of course, the Moon is not actually labeled like it appears here when we look at this map. The Lunar Targeting Plan provides a detailed timeline of observation targets, background science context, and specific instructions for the pictures the crew should take, as well as the verbal descriptions that will be helpful to the science team reviewing them later. This is a screenshot from their lunar targeting package, and a screenshot specifically of that lunar.
For attitude.
Go ahead.
Hey Jenny, understanding we are in final attitude now for the lunar flyby, would it be possible to pitch the vehicle down 5 degrees? That would allow us to get the D5 long lens flush and have the least amount of window distortion.
We're checking.
That call from Christina Cook, NASA astronaut and mission specialist on Artemis 2.
Copy.
The Orion spacecraft is positioned in a specific attitude to allow the crew to best see the Moon outside of their windows today for this imaging opportunity. That call was a request for a potential attitude shift just slightly, another 5 degrees, to give them a better view and to give them a better opportunity to use their long lens camera. They'll also be using that lunar targeting package we were discussing. I am following along with that real time, so I'll be able to share with you exactly what targets the crew is looking at and when. They also trained with a lunar science passport. It's a little reference guide used on Earth to reinforce recognition of key lunar features. It is not on the flight, but it was a significant study tool for the crew to get them ready for launch. The apparent size of the Moon will change throughout the flyby, and it'll appear roughly like a basketball held at arm's length at the crew's closest approach. That reinforces the need for careful planning and practiced observation techniques.
Houston, integrity for timeline.
Go ahead.
Hey Jenny, just to make absolutely sure that we start observations when expected, we are showing in Optimus that observation time starts in about 15 minutes, and in LTP that our first target, discussion 1, starts in about 29 minutes. Can you confirm you'd like us to start discussion 1 in 29 minutes at 1900 GMT?
Christina, we are tracking that discussion 1 should start at 18:45. That's 15 minutes from now.
Okay, copy all. It may be a granularity issue with LTP, but understand that we start that observation in 15 minutes, and I bet when we get there, the green line in LTP will match the start of the white band for discussion 1. I think it's just a matter of the labeling and the granularity. Thanks for confirming.
Copy, and we'll look into that a little bit more on our side as well. Christina, can you verify for us that your green line is moving on the timeline page of your LTP?
Affirm. Jenny, I do think we're good. Looking closer, I see the labels are just not aligned with start or end times of the white visible bands. It fully makes sense now, so I think we are all set. We'll look forward to starting some observations in about 13 minutes.
Copy. Thanks, Christina.
As you heard discussed, we are expecting the crew's observation time period to start in about 10 minutes. First, they'll be conducting a warming up to their science observations of the moon. They'll be discussing with each other, helping each other orient using the major landmarks that they've studied, asking what is familiar.
If we roll left, port 5 degrees, that would get the moon closer to the left side of window 2.
Copy, Victor. We'd like to know if it's pitch and roll or one or the other.
thought you already put the pitch in. Had the pitch been put in already?
No, we need a little while longer to talk about it.
So, Jenny, I guess what's happening is just as our orbit's changing, where it is in the window is changing, so maybe these fancy little adjustments aren't worth it. It's going to continue to move in the window. Or is the spacecraft going to keep the moon at the same point of the window if we adjust the attitude? I assume the previous.
Right now, we are pointing the center of the window to the center of the moon with 2 degrees of deadband.
The conversation you hear happening now between the astronauts aboard Orion and Artemis Mission Control here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. They are in the center of your screen, seated at the CAPCOM, or Capsule Communicator Console. That's Jenny Gibbons, Canadian Space Agency astronaut and Artemis II backup. She was also the lead Capcom for Expedition 63 aboard the International Space Station. The crew is requesting some attitude changes to the spacecraft to allow them to better image the moon, our priority for today. Of course, those have to be discussed on the ground before they are put into work aboard the spacecraft, so the team is taking some time to do so. You also heard Gibbons reference that we are in 2 deadbands. Deadbands are essentially keeping us in the lane in which we're traveling. If you're familiar with lane assist in your car, very similar in this case. We are now 10,870 miles away from the moon, traveling 1,066 miles per hour and 249,390 miles away from Earth. Again, we recently surpassed the Apollo 13 distance record of farthest humans have ever traveled. And upon calling down some words during that milestone, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen noting that he hopes that this record that they are setting today is soon broken by future explorers. This is Artemis Mission Control. We are standing by for the beginning of lunar flyby. Expecting that to start in just a few minutes when the crew will begin a warm-up discussion, preparing for the day. They will be capturing images along while discussing what they find familiar about the moon and what looks unexpected to them. Again, just minutes away from the official start of lunar flyby, or when it is timelined for the crew. We are currently 10,726 miles away from the moon. This view on the left side of your screen coming from the camera on one of Orion's solar arrays. Other conversation points while the crew are getting ready for their flyby today. They'll be looking to orient themselves using major landmarks and annotating their observations along with their discussion. They'll have 10 minutes for that warm-up discussion.
Houston integrity. We have two folks at the window deep in discussion talking about all of the awesome features that they're seeing. We just had a huge moment realizing that Hertzsprung is about the same size as our incredible Oriental. We're really excited about this target that's kind of new to us. We're orienting on things like how we talk about albedo, finding some of the prevalent things that we're used to from all of our training, and just overall taking in this view. We also are noticing that the moon is still getting noticeably bigger as we go, even when you're watching it continuously. It's great to see these two guys get warmed up.
We love the report, Christina, thanks. And you nailed it on why we added Hertzsprung. As you'll see in the prompts, we're looking for comparisons to the comparatively much older Hertzsprung compared to the younger Oriental. Great words.
This is Artemis Mission Control. That was the voice of Dr. Kelsey Young speaking with the astronauts aboard Orion as they begin their observation period and lunar flyby. NASA astronaut Christina Cook reporting their view of Hertzsprung Basin. The team here is looking for centered images of the basin at a full zoom, and they're hoping that the astronauts can image and describe the inner and outer rings. This is considered a degraded basin with a floor, rings, and ejecta compared to a younger Oriental basin. We spoke earlier with Julian Gross, the Artemis curation lead, about some of the terms we will hear the crew use today. One of those just called out, that's albedo, looking at surface brightness, or the amount of light a surface reflects. A few more terms that we hope to hear today during the crew's sit reps or situation reports include embaying. This refers to one feature that surrounds another. That usually is a higher relief feature.
Houston Integrity, one report from the crew at the windows. We can actually see the moon and Earth at the same time right now. It's interesting because the Earth looks way brighter, so the Earth itself seems to have a much higher albedo than the moon. We think this is independent of our eyes focusing because, of course, the Earth is much smaller than the moon in our view, so you could think that your eyes focus for the darker sky, and that means that it only has apparent brightness more than the moon, but since we're seeing both in the same view, we do think that this can be inferred as the Earth as a whole has a higher albedo.
Great observation, Christina, and reminder that as you're starting to look for those subtle color and albedo variations on the moon, the relatively bright albedo Earth might make those a little bit difficult, but as your eyes continue to adjust, we expect you to start to see more nuance on the moon. Thanks.
Great call. Thanks for the reminder.
We're all going to be experts in lunar terminology by the end of the day. Another one we expect to hear is mare. These are dark regions paved or filled by volcanic deposits. You also can hear them called seas, oceans, lakes, or marshes, or other bodies of water. Again, we are live in Artemis Mission Control, but on the right side of your screen, that is the Science Evaluation Room, team members who have been preparing for this day for years. The crew has significantly darkened the cabin of Orion. This allows them better views outside the windows and fewer reflections from inside. They reported being able to see the moon and the Earth out the same window at this time. We are really hopeful to get those photos. Right now, this view on the left side of your screen coming from a camera mounted on one of the solar array wings on Orion outside the spacecraft. The crew is equipped with 80 to 400 millimeter zoom lenses. The team continues their warm-up discussion. I should say the crew members aboard Orion continue their warm-up discussion. However, they are about to be prompted to move on to discussion number 2, which is near side and far side. Some of the things that they are looking to capture, the ground has prompted them to photograph anything that stands out to them and to compare the near side versus the far side mare in color, albedo, topography, and texture. They also want the crew to compare the appearance of rayed craters in the near side mare versus in the far side highlands. Of course, a reminder that some of the items that the crew, or some of the landmarks the crew are seeing today, is the first time that humans have ever laid eyes on those portions of the moon. In the targeting package, there are a few reminders of the crew. For the crew, there are time-sensitive observation reminders and science sit-rep reminders.
Integrity. We have a sit-rep. The targets that are being discussed right now, it's the far side, near side comparison, and hearing some great discussion of browns and greens in the Aristarchus Plateau and how those disappear as you go toward the North Pole, and then over to the far side, you lose the color. You've got Jeremy in window 2, Reed in window 1, having a great discussion. Christina's under window, Reed is in window 3. Christina's under window 1, documenting the discussion. And we've got the lights completely off in the cabin. There are some LEDs that we cannot put out that do provide some light scatter. But we have all of the internal lights off. And are letting our eyes adjust as best we can. The window 4 view, you only get about a third of the moon. Tycho is going to go over the horizon soon, and you can see Aristarchus, and then you start to lose the view as you go to the west in Oceanus and Procellarum. So far, the team is on the plan, and the long lens is being put to good use, and recordings are being made, and internal documentation of the configuration and the observations is ongoing. Science, do you have any questions for us at this time?
Integrity Science. Victor, very glad that you provided the first formal science sit-rep, as these were indeed your idea. One follow-up question, any relationship between those browns and greens you described? Do you see them blending into one another, and do you see any topography associated with either color?
don't want to bother the window team. I just heard that, overheard that, and so I'm sorry I don't have that detail yet. I will eavesdrop and see if I can pick that up. I will try to answer that at some point. I also heard a comparison of the albedo in Aristarchus, that crater, the very high albedo spot. You can see it on the near side. There is a feature called, I believe, Burgess Alpha, that is equally or maybe higher albedo. I apologize for the gaps. I'm trying to listen and talk at the same time, but I will try to get some more information to correlate those colors from Aristarchus for you.
Understood, Victor, and good call to not bug the window team. Really like the brightness comparisons to Burgess A. Really helpful for the science team. Keep them coming. Thanks.
I also heard a discussion about the albedo of Grimaldi being a 10, and how many of us, when we were a little further away, saw that as the darkest albedo, and then the bigger Mare off to the to the east was still dark, but maybe a 7-8. We still think that, but you are seeing color variation, albedo variation inside of Grimaldi as well, and that even on the west side there's still a very dark part of it. But it is still the darkest. It is just not as uniform as it looked when we were farther away. We're starting to differentiate the striations of albedo inside of Grimaldi.
Copy all, Victor, and you read our mind. Superlatives like darkest, biggest are really, really helpful for us, so keep those coming.
As we were just mentioning, the crew is slated to perform these science sit reps. They are prompted to do so by an icon in their lunar targeting plan. That one coming down from NASA astronaut and pilot of Artemis II, Victor Glover. As we discussed, the Capcom is usually the only person in the room speaking with the crew, the capsule communicator. However, today, the science officer, Dr. Kelsey Young, she is the Artemis Science Flight Operations Lead, is speaking